It's a pretty contentious thing to say nowadays, but I'm a fan of quite a lot of what modern Capcom do. Even when things aren't for me, I'm normally pretty clear on what they're going for, and honestly that's enough, even if it doesn't match my personal preference. That being said, I do think there are some missteps from them which are worth critiquing, ones that sit outside the realm of taste. Let's cut to the chase. This is a video about Lily, and more specifically, it's a video about one button: Crouch Fierce. The thing is, I like this character. I think she's a really cool spiritual successor to T-Hawk in both aesthetic and animation. She's sick. I don't even really think they've completely bumbled her mechanics. The win system is, I'm gonna say, nearly interesting. It's difficult when a stock mechanic makes a character feel like they function rather than excel, but that probably doesn't require too much work to tweak in the right direction. And to be fair, that's a matter of my personal taste, and I'll admit that. This is all to say, I don't hate Lily. I play her a lot and have fun. I know she's considered weak by a lot of players, but that's not a problem for me. There's always going to be low tiers. The problem is, this button is unhealthy for the character. I'm using that language for a specific reason. Yes, the button is very good, but it's not broken. It's not a game-defining button like a Chun crouch forward or a Rose crouch strong. It's unhealthy because it does literally everything. It's a fairly long-range, two-hitting, cancelable button. The startup is 10 frames when you're closer to the opponent, and 12 when far away and the first hit whiffs. This by itself is good. The two hits turn it into a self-contained hit confirm, and it allows you to punish drive impact attempts on reaction, something that the majority of her buttons at this range can't do due to their lack of cancels. On hit with this button, you can basically do anything. You can safely get a win stock, drive rush into a combo, or use a stockless Condor Spire to score a free knockdown. Her other buttons don't let her do this. You have Back Fierce, which is good due to the hurt box being retracted, but it's slow at 14 frames, making it a situational button for catching counter hits. Her light punches are also alright, but if you're far away you need to spend stocks or drive meter to combo, plus due to the pushback they are not hit confirmable at a good range. Then you've got Standing Strong and Standing Roundhouse, which have no combo potential due to their lack of cancels, and as a consequence get clapped by drive impact. Crouch Fierce is just far more universally applicable than all of these buttons and a hell of a lot safer. Back Fierce, which I'd argue is her only other decent normal option from far range, is good because it complements Crouch Fierce rather than it being good on its own merit. Also, all of these options I've listed here, bar jabs, are jumpable, so they share one common weakness, it's just that one of them lacks every other vulnerability or drawback. On block it's -2 and has good pushback, making it safe outside of some very avoidable situations. Plus, if you drive rush cancel it, you're sitting at an insane +13, giving you basically any mix-up you could possibly ever want as a grappler. So even if you do somehow manage to not hit confirm this thing, you're still perfectly fine. Depending on the situation and matchup, you can also try to get yourself a stock on block by cancelling into Condor Wind. It's a mix-up and a pretty weak one, but honestly, it is useful in a pinch. Sadly, its applications don't stop there. When we look at the hitboxes on this move, we can see that the first part of the attack is an anti-air that hits on top of her head, and if we counter hit with it, we get a combo. Now, I don't actually think this would be an issue if this was all the attack did, because there is still a place for her DP. You need to hit the Crouch Fierce pretty late for it to connect cleanly, so if an opponent has a dive kick which delays their jump attack, you can punish her. Plus, due to it hitting directly above her, if someone says neutral jumps, you're probably gonna once again DP. But even though in this singular instance the move makes sense, in the context of the rest of her toolkit, this one button should not have this much functionality. Hell, why not give this kind of property to her 6H and make it move forward far less? At least then the attack would have purpose beyond combo fodder. If we look at the latter part of this attack's hitbox, we can see that it's pretty disjointed. So, guess what? It's your best whiff punish tool as well. If you are optimal, you'd probably want to use her standing heavy punch instead, because on punish counter this gives you a crumple to convert from, but it's really stubby, so unless the opponent's hurtbox extends massively like say Ken's standing roundhouse, it just might not hit. So unless it's a huge ridiculous whiff, you just go for crouching fierce, it's safer. Look, to put it simply, this attack does everything you can think of. You might be saying to yourself, well, it doesn't hit low, so at least those attacks are still useful, even with the existence of Crouch Fierce. But no, you'd be wrong for the most part. Her lows are stubby and slow, so even if you are trying to catch a walk back, you're often best just moving forward and trying to SPD them. Or once again, hit that God button and Condor Spire if you've got a win stock. It's just bad, objectively. Having one tool that does all of this has created sweeping redundancies across her whole kit. Even when another button might be slightly better situationally, you still often just go for Crouch Fierce, just in case that situation changes quickly, and that makes her neutral honestly uninteresting at every level. It's obviously a hard ask to make every button on a character useful, but it should be a harder ask to make every button shit in comparison, and it has been this way for over a year, which is honestly sad. Buttons should have a purpose, clear and distinct. Of course there will be overlap in some form, but it should never be to this degree. The move needs to be nerfed, and her other buttons need to be buffed. Not for the sake of her balance, because she isn't some particularly strong character and I don't really care about tier lists, but so we actually have something to learn with her in neutral, so we no longer need to lean on this catch-all option which strips away any nuance from one of the most enjoyable parts of fighting games.